Brothers, this day I bring you peak content. This is one of the most hilarious stories that I've seen in quite some time. Do you remember Monkey D. Houthi? Do you remember the Yemeni terrorist that Hasan Piker brought on his show? Well, that person is suing Ethan Klein. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you. This is going to be one of the most hilarious peak bits of content that we've seen in quite some time, where you have this Houthi terrorist that is going to be suing Ethan Klein. Oh, amazing. Absolutely amazing. This is peak cinema, ladies and gentlemen.
Infamous hot Houthi pirate dubbed Tim Houthi Chalamet.
That's not his name. His name is Monkey D. Houthi. He's going to be king of the terrorists one day.
Is thinking about suing Ethan Klein. That's right, suing him for calling him a terrorist. We're going to get into that today on The Legal Mindset, where we teach you to be your own judge. I'm Andrew Esquire, American attorney, and this is a Fast Facts premiere, giving the quick and dirty version of the latest in legal news. And I do apologize. I've been a little bit absent. This is my birthday weekend, so I am quite enjoying it. But
that's perfectly fine. Enjoy your birthday. So, yeah, let's take a moment to go over to Grok. I'm going to be using AI more because this plethora of degenerate retards that hates AI, I'm just going to use it more than ever. Let's see. Are the Houthi pirates considered to be terrorists? Give me a one-word answer. Yes. Are the Houthi pirates considered to be terrorists? Give me a one-word answer. Yes. They are Houthi terrorists. Monkey D. Houthi came onto Hasan's stream and said that he was part of the Houthi rebellion, or I'm part of the Houthi freedom fighters. You said that you're part of the Houthis and they are a terrorist organization. This is the definition of a lawsuit. This is incredibly hilarious. I hope that this goes through. This will be peak content, and maybe by the end of this, Ethan Klein can own his very own Houthi pirate ship. Oh my gosh. This is just, I love this so much because it's so ridiculous. It's so stupid. It's just so absurd.
Okay, this is
And here we got Hasan, Hasan, terrorist Glazer Hasan.
stupid question. Okay, you can preface it with that. Does he know what One Piece is?
One Piece, like, is that an organization?
No, One Piece is an anime.
Oh, okay. أول شيء بقول لك إنه ممكن هذا السؤال يكون شوي أهبل، بس بسألك تعرف شو هو ون بيس؟ عمرك سمعت بون بيس؟
أكيد يعني منذ الطفولة وأنا أشاهد ون بيس لوفي.
Is it Luffy?
Yeah, he said he's been watching it since he was a kid.
No way!
Yeah.
That's sick. Yes, that's fire. That's so fire. Oh my god, dude. We think the Houthis, Ansar Allah, is doing what Luffy would do. You should tell him that.
بقول لك حسن إنه.
Okay, this is a stupid question.
I mean, Hasan is a malevolent evil force that should be in prison and should be removed from the United States. I'm thinking Guantanamo or maybe El Salvador. The reality is that this sort of conversation that Hasan had with a terrorist, this guy is a terrorist. The group is a terrorist organization. And if he wasn't part of this organization, then he shouldn't have laid claim to it. I mean, this is one of the stupidest things I've ever seen. He got his name Monkey D. Houthi. The Houthis are a terrorist organization. So, and Hasan, you see him nerding out there. Oh, this terrorist organization, this guy watches One Piece. The other bit of hard-hitting journalism was that Hasan asked if he knew what KFC was. And apparently they have KFC over there, and Hasan was just beside him. So, oh, man, I can't believe there's KFC over there. Wow, that's awesome. Hasan is such an evil, repugnant, festering boil.
But I'm glad to bring this one here because this is a hilarious one for you guys tonight. So some of you may or may not know who this guy is, who Tim Houthi is. Of course, that's slang for this guy. This guy goes online by the name Rashid Al-Haddad, aka Tim Houthi Chalamet, for his resemblance, obviously, to Timothy Chalamet from the movie Dune. And he became famous for really getting circulated in social media as the quote-unquote hot Houthi pirate, and for being brought on stream with one Hasan Piker, which had almost no ramifications at all from Twitch. And this was quite a controversy and kind of blew him up on social media. It gave him kind of a micro influencer status. Well, of course, as with all people, your 15 seconds of, whether it's fame or shame runs out eventually. At some point, that moment goes away. And his moment was, well, the moment when he was caught on the boat, and he was there, getting a picture on the boat, and that was his moment of fame, and also going on with Hasan. So now he's attempting to kick up a lawsuit. So here he goes. Here, Rashid Al-Haddad says, "Why did Ethan Klein say that I am a terrorist even though I am not? I am a Yemeni citizen. By the way, weapons in Yemen are just like phones. Anyone can own them. I want to file a lawsuit against Ethan Klein." So,
well, maybe it's because you went on Hasan's platform and said that you were part of this terrorist group, and that was how it was billed by Hasan. You're going to have a very hard time with this lawsuit, Monkey D. Houthi. You're going to have a very, very tough time. And the fact is that, well, first of all, you have no case. So there's that part of it. You have no case. You have nothing to stand on here. And the thing is, I'm not a huge Ethan Klein fan. I like what he's doing and stuff. But I've stated for a long time, I'm not a fan of his. I think that he's terrible on a lot of different issues. But the fact of the matter is, the people that are up against him are so much worse. That it makes him seem great by comparison. I mean, holy shit. I mean, like, that's where we're at. Monkey D. Houthi. I want to see if I can't find this clip. I want to see if I can't find this clip where Hasan is talking about it. I wasn't planning to do it. I want to see if I can find the clip where maybe I can't find it. If that's the case, that's okay. But the fact is, Hasan introduced him on Twitch. Hasan introduced him as a terrorist. Like, that's the way that he introduced him. Oh gosh, Philip DeFranco. Yeah, this isn't. I don't think this is gonna happen. I don't think I can just find it on the spot.
He is a champion for terrorism.
Well, there. This, at least we can watch the clip from Ethan.
And a supporter of terrorism. And if you don't believe me, watch the video. Thank you very much. That's all I have to say about that.
When you say that you support the actions of a terrorist organization and you interview them on your stream and then you play their propaganda, so according to
He is a champion for terrorism.
Let's all sit together and detained for extra questioning, re-entering the country. And I think that Hasan and everybody else, including myself, let's all sit together and say a collective thank you to the government for keeping us safe.
Shut the fuck up.
He is a
Yeah.
So according to Ethan Klein, the judge has...
Anyway, yeah. So I can't find that exact clip, but it was during his live stream, and somebody asked him, like, are we really interviewing a terrorist? And he's like, yeah. So my point is that you're going to have an impossible time, because while I may not be able to find that clip, I guarantee that Ethan and his lawyers are going to be able to find that clip. And it's going to be impossible for you to prove that, oh, you know, I'm not a terrorist. No, nobody would have logically thought that I'm a terrorist, because Hasan literally introduced you as a terrorist. I mean, that's where we're at now, where apparently a Houthi terrorist, Monkey D. Houthi, is going to be, suing Ethan. I hope it happens for the sake of content. It would be absolutely hilarious. It would be peak cinema. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, I just wanted to cover this real quick. It's a bit of fun content. Yeah, we'll watch more of this legal mindset video and get a more full picture. But that's really what I wanted to say about it. I really wanted to go over this because holy shit! Like we live in one of the funniest timelines, where a literal terrorist could be suing Ethan Klein because Hasan Piker had him on his stream.
We're going to examine this. Does he have a case? Does he not have a case? Especially in U.S. courts, because I'm going to assume here that he'd be suing Ethan Klein in a U.S. court. Now, we're going to talk about Yemen as well at the end. Of course, I'm not a Yemeni lawyer, but I can tell you exactly about the enforceability of Yemeni law in the United States. Spoiler alert, not good. So we're going to get into it with the analysis. So the first thing you're going to look at is what would be suing for? Well, defamation. And a lot of people on the internet do call other people a terrorist. Now, that is not a word in and of itself per se, that is automatically defamatory. It's not one of those words where it would necessarily yet 100% say this is going to go into the camp of defamation. There are certain words that you can say or call people that are more defamatory than others. And there's certain words you can call people that are really not defamatory. If you call people, certain derogatory terms that are just vulgar and they're purely vulgar, but not criminal, they tend to not be defamatory. However, if you're calling someone a criminal, and a terrorist is typically a criminal, that is something that leans on the side of defamatory. So that's what I look at with the analysis of, is a statement defamatory or not? Is it implicating someone?
Well, it's interesting that he says that. And I do agree. That is a very fair analysis. The reason why I call Hasan a terrorist is because Hasan has recorded himself on stream saying things that are terroristic in nature. And this is a guy that very recently has said that he condones violence against his political opponents for the sake of making political change, which is the definition of a terrorist. So it is not defamation if it's true. The defense against defamation is the truth. So if Hasan ever tried to sue me for defamation, or Ethan, or Asmongold, if you ever tried to sue somebody for defamation for calling him a terrorist or Nextaku, it would not go anywhere. Well, it may actually go to trial, potentially. But the fact is, there's so much evidence of Hasan calling for violence publicly. And by the way, those videos are archived. They're not going anywhere. Hasan doesn't get to delete them. Those are forever on the internet. Of Hasan saying America deserves 9/11, Hasan going out there and praising these terrorist organizations. These organizations that are designated by the United States to be terrorist organizations. So in a court of law, there would be no ambiguity. There wouldn't be any, well, my opinion is this. No, were you glazing this terrorist organization? Hasan, were you sitting next to Taylor Lorenz and talking about, well, you know, when I say that I think that we need to do it in relation to political violence, I think people know what I mean. Like, there are so many clips from Hasan that should put him in a gulag for the rest of his life. This guy should be arrested in the most brutal way possible. I'm talking like straight up like the terrorists that we see going to El Salvador. You know, I want to see that video. I want to see the video of the police storming Hasan's house where they put him on the ground and he's crying, no, I'm a streamer, I'm an influencer. And like him shitting his pants and then arresting him. I want to see the video of them, kneeling him down, shaving his head, putting him on the plane in shackles and getting him the fuck out of here. That would be the most satisfying content in the world. Get this terrorist supporting freak out of the country. Holy shit. He should be in jail.
As a criminal. When it does, it tends to be more defamatory than not. So that's where that statement generally lands. And there's a lot of people on the internet that are called this day to day. Now, why is this difficult? Well, the standard under New York Times versus Sullivan is malicious because this guy is undoubtedly a public figure. He puts himself out there on social media. He's very active on social media. He went on a top streamers, stream. So he is a public figure. He's not a private person. So he would be examined under New York Times versus Sullivan standard. So there would need to be malice. So what he says would need to be maliciously untrue. The fact of the matter is, based on photos like these photos, where we see Tim Houthi here posing, or Mr. Rashid posting with the stolen ship. This is a hijacked ship, a confirmed hijacked ship. He actually goes closer to the ship in another video, but you can see it here. He's also posing in what looks like military attire with an AK over here. So looking at this, it gives you a reasonable belief. Looking at this, a reasonable person, a regular person, a normie, a total normie who knows nothing about this, says, wow, this guy could be a terrorist. I'm not sure. I would need more information. And your duty under a duty of malice is not to have all the information, but just based on the information out there, the information you can look at, the information you can find that's readily available, right? You're going to look at that information. Is it malicious to say this guy could be a terrorist? It's possible he could be a terrorist. I think a reasonable person could say that. However, it is possible that he is not legally defined as a terrorist, i.e., he is not personally a member of a group that is deemed a terrorist, right? He's probably trying to make that argument. He's probably going to say, I'm Yemeni and Klein is criticizing me for Yemeni. Okay, maybe that might even be a fair argument. I'll even entertain that fact, right? Give him a benefit of the doubt for a second. But guess what? He would still lose at a case in the United States because the legal standard is higher. So with the U.S. Legal standard here, the likely result would be a case to be dismissed, right? So the U.S. claim would likely be dismissed either at motion to dismiss or at summary judgment. He would likely, if he brought the case and even had the money to bring the case, they would.
Yeah, think about how many pirate ships you have to raid. Now think about how many different vessels they would have to confiscate in order to pay off that legal bill. It's nuts. It is absolutely nuts that we're having this conversation. Yeah, this lawsuit would go nowhere. This lawsuit would go absolutely nowhere. It's just, this guy's, you calling me a terrorist? Yeah, your group is a terrorist organization. And if you didn't want to be associated with them, don't put images of yourself out there, and don't go on a show where the host, Hasan Diddy Bin Laden Adolf Epstein Piker, Baby Loyal Piker, he's introducing you as a terrorist.
Outright dismiss it, or it would get the summary judgment that say, look, you don't meet the bar you don't meet the level of malice. You really can't prove that Ethan Klein is being malicious and he is lying completely about this. You'd have to put more proof out there that you are definitively not a member of a terrorist group, because at this point, what it seems like is he is grifting off his grift. The quote unquote hot Houthi pirate is grifting off being a sexy terrorist and trying to make terrorism sexy. And if that is what he is marketing himself as, then people would not be mistaken to take himself as a terrorist. So if he's marketing himself as a terrorist, as the kind of bad boy terrorist, the hot bad boy terrorist, the rebel who's fighting back, well, if people interpret you as you market yourself, that's not malicious. Now, it may be all a game. It may be all LARPing. In fact, I think it is. I mean, this individual looks kind of soft. I think there's a reason to believe that he's not actually a terrorist. He's not actually like a hardened guy. He's out there watching One Piece. He's probably like some, Yemeni weeb, whatever, right? Who just wants to cosplay as a terrorist, right? That would be a reasonable alternative explanation. But guess what? You've marketed yourself as that. You put yourself out as that. So it's hard to put that back in the box. Now, the one thing that could happen, and this is going over to Yemen, is he could get an unenforceable Yemeni judgment or a local tribal court ruling. So in Yemen, there's, as in many countries, it's very, very common, right? There's often customary law, what's called customary law of dispute resolution, meaning the centralized legal system is weak. And that exists in many countries all over the world. Therefore, the customs that are applicable, the local customs, the local ways of life, they can be types of rulings. But getting some local tribal ruling in Yemen is not going to be enforceable in a U.S. court. They're going to laugh at that and toss it out. It's just not going to work. So as much as he might have that piece of paper at some point from some Yemeni, local tribal yokel, that's not going to work in the United States or any big boy country with real legal systems. So that said, likely a social media stunt for attention due to lawsuits trending. What he sees right now and what this guy is trying to do is he's trying to hijack the headlines. Right now, lawsuits are hot. The Klein lawsuit is big, and he wants to clout jack off of that, get back in the algorithm, get trending again, and get attention for his particular causes. And you know what? I understand it. I can't even blame people for trying to hijack the algo. However, I can blame them for making up nonsense lawsuits. And this is absolutely a nonsense lawsuit.
Well, you heard it from Legal Mindset himself. Yeah, it's a ridiculous, fictitious lawsuit. And I do hope it goes through, though. I do hope that Monkey D. Houthi fundraises and generates a bunch of money and, actually goes after Ethan Klein, because that would be peak comedy, peak entertainment. That would just be so completely and totally hilarious to watch Monkey D. Houthi sue Ethan Klein. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting the channel. I'll see you next time.